Holy City Center Radio. It is episode 99, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is Thursday, March 22nd, 2023. That's right, it's a Thursday pod, not normal. It's all shaken up this week. I apologize, I wasn't planning ahead. When I was recording Monday's episode, I was just like, yeah, I'll have my normal Wednesday episode. Was not thinking that I had plans pretty much all day Tuesday. So that's why we have a delay on the episode, but there will be one coming out on Friday as planned, as expected, unless something crazy happens. But here we are, episode 2 of the week. And yes, episode 99. Can you believe it? Just one away from 100 already. I mean, yes, I know we put out 3 kind of short episodes every week, so it adds up fairly quickly. But nonetheless, that's a lot of episodes featuring my voice out there. And I appreciate any of you who have listened to one podcast, let alone anywhere near the total amount. I'd be shocked if there is anybody out there besides myself and Lindsay, my producer, who have listened to every single one. But I appreciate each and every listen on however many you have in the past or will in the future. So thank you so much for your support, and I hope you're doing well this week. So yes, I alluded to plans, which is why the episode was delayed by a day. After did my normal work stuff on Tuesday. I had tickets to see Third Eye Blind, one of my favorite bands. Liked them, when I was in high school, and just continued to listen through college and beyond, and have just always enjoyed their shows. There's been a lot of lineup changes throughout the year, except the lead singer and drummer have remained throughout. So 2 main pieces have stayed, but some of the other members, there's been, especially over the last decade or so, a lot of changes, but still put on a really good show. Still a lot of fun. I always enjoy going. I decided, since I hadn't seen them in several years, that I would, take advantage of the pre-sale, which, by the way, if you're not doing pre-sales for shows you really want to go to, you're missing out. If you can get a code through the venue or whatever band, that you want to see, a lot of times, like I've said in the past, pre-sale codes on email, if you sign up for their email newsletter or what have you. But anyway, and that's the way to do it, because you get early access. You don't have to worry about as much traffic on the website, where you're just trying to snatch up the best ticket before someone else does. You generally can get pretty good seats because not as many people are participating. So anyway, I did the pre-sale, and there was an option for pretty close seats at face value, but it also included a pre-show sound check that you could go to. So I decided to do that. I've done one of these pre-show sound check things before. The last one I did was at the Music Hall with Grace Potter, and it was so much fun, being in the venue before the rest of the, fans show up, and getting to see like the band in a relaxed state, and they're just, testing out the sound and toying around and things like that. So I decided to do it, and it was a lot of fun. It's cool seeing the band come out, and it looks like what the Third Eye Blind's trying to do is make this unique for people. It's already a unique experience, but they're not going to practice a song that they're going to play that night. They've have like a set list that's pretty set every single night. There might be a couple changes here or there, but they're just going to give you a taste of something you're not going to hear that night. And, they're talking, they're like, no, I think you should play this note in that part. Or, hey, let's remove the bridge. And, it's fun watching them do that, because these are songs that they sounded like maybe they would play later in the tour. So they're practicing them now. And again, it's giving you a chance to kind of get behind the scenes and see them have a chance to hear some songs that you wouldn't hear during the regular show. So it was really cool. It was fun. It wasn't a ton of people, it had to be less than 50. We sat in the first 3 rows or whatever, and the band's sound check was all acoustic. That's part of their tour they're doing, is they have an acoustic section during it. So they're practicing some of these songs that, they don't normally play that way. And it was a lot of fun. And then I had a little bit of a break, so was able to do some work, grab some food and whatnot, and then met up with my friend who wasn't able to go to the sound check, but was able to go to the show itself. And we had a really good time. There was no open or anything. They played a couple hours, nearly 3 hours, probably 2.5 hours. Lots of the hits that, if anybody, even if you're a casual fan or just remember them being on the radio, they played a ton of those hit songs you remember. And then some of their newer stuff as well. Also, a couple covers, including a cover of a Beyonce song, which was pretty good. So yeah, just a fun show. I was happy to do it. Had a great time. I was in the third row, which was pretty great. So I got some good video on my phone. I'm not one of those people who is like filming entire songs or anything like that, but like, oh, I love this part of the song, or oh, I think the stage lights look really cool, and I'll snap a quick picture or like a 30-second video tops. I don't get the whole. I know some musicians and stuff don't like people taking videos and using their phones during shows. I am not one of those get off my lawn old people who tend to say those types of things as well. Yes, I agree. If you're just sitting up there holding your phone up and blocking someone's view for long periods of time, that's a no-no. If you're constantly doing it, that's a no-no. But I don't see what the big deal is taking short little clips here and there or snapping a couple pictures, especially if you're pretty close. You want to remember that later. Taking a total of 5 minutes out of a 2.5 hour set, to get a couple memories for on your phone, you're not missing out. You're still present in the moment. You can still enjoy the vast majority without doing anything with your phone. So, yeah, I'm not one of those people who like, oh, I can't believe these folks are taking pictures. Like, no, that's cool. Like, it'd be a bummer if people were doing that to bootleg it online in some fashion or post like full concert videos on YouTube and take money out of the artist's pocket. But most people, I think, are like me. They just want to throw a clip up on their Instagram or just have them in their phone to go back and watch later as a nice memory of that evening. So anyway, I was just thinking about that because um, when we went to do the sound check, it was like very much impressed upon us, like, do not take pictures or videos during this, which makes a lot more sense to me too. It's a more intimate thing. The band's practicing, so they're gonna screw up and they're gonna talk about songs and stuff that they might not want to just have a recording out there. I totally understood that. But the lead singer has talked in other interviews and stuff how he doesn't like that. He doesn't think people are present when they're on their phone. And like I said, 5 minutes total. If you take every moment you pull out your phone and record or take a picture, that time adding up to the whole set, you can still very much be present. So that's me saying, take videos, take photos if you want to at shows. Just don't be excessive or annoying about it. And I get it. You want to enjoy it later. So I will enjoy watching those videos, down the line and remembering what was a fun night out with a friend and with a band I really like. So anyway, that's enough of that. We've got a mostly Murdoch-related podcast. I know you would think now that the trial's over, the stories wouldn't still be coming out, or at least not as often, but it just seems to be nonstop with this family or things that may be related to the family. So first up, this is a little dark, and it's interesting, but I guess what else are they going to do? Items from the Murdoch family's former Moselle Road home are currently up for auction. That's right. You could be the owner of an item from the Murdoch family's home. Former home that was on Moselle Road. That's the property where Maggie and Paul were murdered. We can now say officially, because he was found guilty, they were murdered by Alec Murdoch. They're an auction house. I'll get the official name for you in a minute, but it's in Georgia. Today, actually, Thursday, March 23rd, at 4 p.m., they're going to hold this auction. They've got a hold of a bunch of household items. There's some pictures up online that you can see. You can click the link in the show notes. There's like a couch and some like monogram pillows and things like that. It's really bizarre to me, that people would want some of this stuff. I like memorabilia and silly things, but who wants to own some of the Murdoch's like personal effects or furniture or whatever? But there's obviously a market out there for it. But anyway, the auction is being done by the Liberty Auction House in Pembroke, Georgia. And as I said, it's happening today at 4 p.m. So if you're one of the people who would like that stuff, you can go. It's an in-person only auction though, so you will have to go to their auction house's warehouse out in Pembroke. So if you're listening to this on Thursday morning, you better get going. So yeah, there's your chance to earn some memorabilia with sort of historical importance. I don't know. I just found this really interesting. But so that's story number one. The second thing is a little bit more substantial, and this is what I kind of meant by Murdoch adjacent. Stephen Smith, who you may remember, was a Hampton teen who died in 2015. There's been some questions about that death. There's been rumors that either one or both of the Murdaugh kids were involved, and not only were they maybe involved, but the family may have known and tried to help them cover it up and things like this. All speculation. From all the documentaries and articles and stuff I've read about this case, there has been no evidence whatsoever presented that points to anyone specific. There may be something out there, but I don't believe it's been made public. Nothing that I've seen is what I'm saying. However, there's been rumors, people back when this young man died, there were people thinking that Buster, the surviving son, was involved somehow. So there's also some questions whether he's involved or not. The death has always been, debated because it seemed he was, murdered. It was a homicide. But then later on, the police report, as it was going through the investigation, they determined he was hit by a car. So it was a hit and run. But a lot of that evidence didn't really seem to match up to him being hit by a car. So there's been a lot of questions about it. And then during one of the investigations of that Moselle property I just mentioned, something was found or something came up where SLED said that they are reopening the Stephen Smith case. They never said what they found or heard or whatever that led them to that. And they waited purposefully until the whole trial ended to even start really discussing it. So here's the latest on that whole situation. Stephen Smith's mother is planning to ask that a judge allow her son's body to be exhumed as part of a renewed investigation. Sandy Smith, the mother, has retained South Carolina attorneys Ronnie Richter and Eric Bland to re-examine the case. She is going to use more than $65,000 that was raised through a GoFundMe campaign. And actually, that's an older number from this article I'm pulling this information from. Last I checked was over 70,000, and I'm sure it's even higher now because I believe that was 2 days ago now, the last time I checked. But in any event, a lot of money, and over what she was asking for help. She's going to use that money from the GoFundMe campaign to launch this new private investigation into the case. The attorneys made the announcement back on March 20th, which was Monday. So Stephen, as I mentioned, he was 19 years old when he was found dead back on July 8th, 2015 on Sandy Run Road. Near a road called Joe Miley Road, which is in Hampton County. Investigators initially believed he was killed in a hit and run. While he was walking, they found his car a few miles away, and it looked like maybe he had run out of gas because the top to the gas tank was off, and it appeared he was walking to get some sort of help. And so they believe while he was walking to get gas or help, he was hit by a car vanished, and that was it. That theory never really flew with his mother. She never really seemed to buy that. There was a few reasons for that. At the crime scene, there were no skid marks or any kind of vehicular debris near the body. You would think if someone accidentally hit someone, it was nighttime, you would like skid marks from hitting their brakes, swerving. You would think a collision that would leave someone dead would, as it mentions, there might be vehicle debris, some kind of evidence that an accident occurred. In addition to that, there's been some talk about how Stephen Smith was wearing shoes that were kind of loosely tied, and they were still very much on his feet, whereas in many hit and runs or when people are hit by a car, their shoes come off, especially if they're not tied on tightly, which his weren't. So that was another thing that was kind of odd. If a vehicle hit him, why are his shoes, which were not tied tightly, still in place? Why are they not strewn about somewhere? So there's been a couple things like that that just didn't sit well with the family and some other people who have looked at this case before. They also mentioned back in the investigation that his cell phone was left in his car, or no, I'm sorry, not that it was left in his car. He just never used it to call for assistance. His wallet was left behind in his car, and his mother said both of those things are out of character for him. So that also raised questions of, if he was looking to go get gas, well, why didn't he make a phone call? And then why would he have left his wallet behind if he needs gas? You're going to need to pay for the gas somehow, right? So speculation is maybe he did run out of gas and was waiting for help or something, or someone pulled over, or someone was following him, who knows, and then took him away from his car, and then did whatever it was to him and left him dead on the road and made it seem like he was hit by a car. That's been speculation. That's been what the families thought. That's what some of these documentaries have talked about, how some other people believe that as well. But in the end, as I said, in that initial investigation, it was ruled it was a hit and run accident. Well, in addition to these attorneys saying that they're going to represent the mother, do a private investigation, exhume Stephen Smith's body to be able to do a different type of autopsy, and they also announced that SLED has officially ruled his death as a homicide. So they are no longer saying it's a hit and run, which would also be a homicide. But what they're saying, they are no longer going with the theory that his death was related to being hit by a car. It is a homicide. News 2 reached out to SLED to confirm that, and they said, yes, that is correct. This past Tuesday night, they confirmed it with News 2. That yes, they indeed have decided that this was a homicide and not the result of a hit and run. So we'll see what, if anything, SLED does with that change. If they're going to do some investigating, it's like I said, they said they were reopening the case due to something they found during the Murdaugh investigation. So what was that about? Are we going to hear that? And also, what will these private investigations find out? It's going to be interesting. Hopefully, there'll be an answer that will satisfy, most importantly, the family, and get them some closure. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, something about that case has never really added up to the whole hit and run thing. So I'm glad that it appears SLED has recognized that mistake. And hopefully it's not too late to figure out who may have been responsible and get to the bottom of it. All right, and lastly, let's get away from the Murdaugh family. I've talked on previous podcast episodes, and it continues to happen, where people are bringing pounds and pounds of cannabis into Charleston International Airport from, in their luggage or whatever, and they're getting caught and they're getting arrested. And when I say pounds and pounds, I don't mean like 5 pounds, 6 pounds, which still would seem like a lot to have 6 pounds of anything in your luggage. We're talking like 30 pounds, 50 pounds, 90 pounds. I've talked about this on past episodes. This is slightly different, but same idea. It involves drugs, having them in an airport. And why people, I don't know why they don't think with either that amount of drugs or more serious types drugs, why they just think TSA and hospital and airport security are going to just look the other way. They're clearly not, especially when people are just blatantly flaunting the rules. Well, this story is a man who sounds like he was having a good vacation somewhere and was bringing some of the party back here to Charleston. A man is facing charges after police say he flew into Charleston International Airport with various narcotics in his luggage. The man is 48-year-old Raul Suarez. He is charged with 1 count of possession. Well, actually, you know what? It's drug possession. I'm going to get into what exactly he had on him in a moment. So his charges are all drug offenses for possession. At approximately 11 p.m. on this past Monday, officers with the Charleston County Aviation Authority Police Department responded to the airport's baggage claim area for an investigation. This is according to their incident report. Police approached Suarez, who told them that he had flown in from Syracuse, New York. Officers then asked if they could search his belongings. He said sure. And he admitted, as they were going through, that he had marijuana and cocaine in his luggage. Well, that was true. He did have cannabis and cocaine in his luggage. However, officers found a few more things. In addition to those, they also found heroin, MDMA, and LSD. So, needless to say, he was arrested and transported to the Cannon Detention Center. Wow. Again, it doesn't say anything about amounts, but obviously they were tipped off. Obviously, somewhere along the line, TSA or someone noticed something in his bag and let authorities know. Again, if you're going to be bringing excessive amounts of drugs, weight-wise, size-wise, what are you thinking in that sense? And if you're going to be bringing, even if it's small amounts of very recognizable much more hardcore drugs like heroin. What are you thinking? That everyone's just going to turn a blind eye to that? Again, I know I don't know all the details, but I mean, come on. This guy had cannabis, cocaine, heroin, MDMA, and LSD. Dude was having a hell of a party or was about to have a hell of a party, or, depending on how much he had, maybe it was to sell coming back here. Who knows? The report didn't really specify. His drug charges just had to do with possession. There was no like intent to distribute, which leads me to believe that there wasn't like an excessive amount of any of the drugs. So it may have just been a personal use thing. But regardless, people. You got to be smarter when you're traveling. Come on now. That'll do it for this random Thursday episode, postponed one day due to my fun show, as I mentioned. I hope you all didn't mind. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode. I already got some topics that you're going to want to hear, so be sure to listen tomorrow. But also, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, review this podcast. That makes sure you don't miss any of the shows and also helps me out. You can also go to holycitycenter.com/shop to pick up merchandise, or go to patreon.com/holycitycenter to support the website, the podcast, and everything else I do in Holy City Centerland. That would be greatly appreciated. I also want to say thank you to Lindsay Marie Collins for producing each and every episode through LMC Soundsystem. And also thank you to Tyler Boone, whose music you hear in each and every episode. And as I've said a bunch of times already, thank you to all of you. Can't believe we're on episode 99. The big 100 is next. I wouldn't be doing this if no one was listening. So even if it's just that one listener out there, I know there's at least one of you. There's got to be. Based on the statistics, there's more than that. But, who knows? Who knows who's really listening? However much you listen, even if it's only a few minutes, even if it's only been one episode ever, I really, really appreciate it, and I love doing it. And so thank you for sticking with me through 99 and soon to be 100 episodes. Until episode 100 on Friday, good night and good luck.